Good morning. Welcome to episode 4 of the garden tours. Let's dive in. Alright, so it is dry here where we're at, and I've been trying to keep things at least watered enough. The brown turkey fig, of course, is doing fine, and we may leave it. I think in the last episode I talked about moving it. I'm conflicted. I do have another fig, a Desert King, that I need to get planted, and I got to figure out where it's going to go if it's not going to go here. Really, everything is doing great. We have done some cleanup since the last time, episode 3, and we got more to do. You know, obviously we're not staying on top of harvesting the basil, or it wouldn't be going to seed. The pimentos are starting to come on, and we've got a bunch of Buena Mulatas producing. The peach charapita is doing okay, even though we're dealing with 105, 106, 102 degree days. I've been harvesting and eating a lot of the carbon tomatoes. There is still more tomatoes to harvest. I just don't know if I can get a good angle, but I mean, there's still some over there and a big one down there. So we're just going to have to eat those this weekend, I guess. And the Prudence Purple, you know, it does have a few tomatoes on it. They're not very big still, and they're super green. So it is what it is. The lettuce seed that we were letting go to seed, it is ready. And so you know that it's ready when they start making these little dandelion clusters. And in fact, as soon as I'm done shooting this, I'll have to go get a bag, a paper bag, grocery bag, cut these tops off and shake them in there, because I don't know if you can focus on that, but there is plenty of seed ready to go. So it's time to harvest all the lettuce seed, clear that out, and hopefully this weekend we can clear out the beets. And we need to be on top of these. I don't know what we're going to do with these. Freeze dry a bunch maybe. The cherry tomatoes and the pear tomatoes, and this is the chocolate pear. And the first couple were chocolatey, you know, darker, the shoulders in particular. But now they're just really red. So, first time growing those. And that's really it. The celery I haven't talked about much. Sorry about the train noise, nothing I can do about that. That celery's anemic. That celery's going to be okay. The better celery, we put cans around, and they're on the other side. I'll show you those when we get over there. Pickles have just been producing like gangbusters, the pickling cucumbers. I guess I'm getting out of order here, but the crookneck squash, you know, we've been trying to trellis it up, and I really like growing in the pots, and it just makes looking under the leaves for the squash bug eggs. See, there's some right there. Okay, and so what we'll do, because pruning these really helps them, is we'll just let's make sure we got the right leaf. Yep, there it is. And we're just going to take the whole leaf off, and that will go into our lawn bin, not in the compost bin, because they'll just hatch over there and go. This is Emily basil. It's doing good. Been doing a lot of mulching with chop and drop from pruning. You can see I need to get out here and harvest cucumbers. There's one, and those are plenty big for the cucumbers I'm wanting. In fact, you know, that one, this one, these are all, and I'm harvesting all of these sizes. So I've got a gallon inside that I need to, that is brined up from the last 4 or 5 days of harvesting. And so I need to pickle those later today. And then we'll harvest these tonight. So there's another one. The sweet potatoes are doing good, as far as I know. Keeping them watered. I mean, they're growing. We are starting to get some peppers on the El Toro de Ecuador, and they're not very big yet, but they are starting to come on there. And it's got plenty of flowers. Nothing really new on the butternuts. They're growing fine. The ground cherry's doing fine, and the North Georgia Candy Roaster is doing great. And these things look pitiful once it hits about 99, 100 degrees. I mean, they literally collapse, the leaf collapse. You would think the plant was attacked by a swarm of vine borers. It just looks awful. The beans, still having not as good a results with these lima beans. I did plant a second round of cave beans in here, but you know, they're 45 days or more behind the lima beans, but I still don't have lima bean 1. And I don't know, maybe they're not getting enough light. I just don't know. If you have ideas, let me know in the comments. They just not producing. I mean, I get flowers and there are plenty of pollinators around, but I just have had zero luck with these Christmas lima beans. So the picklers are doing great. We're giving away plenty of picklers, and we need to can up some cucumber salad this weekend and use up some of the tomatoes and the cucumbers and dill and onion that we've grown. The rainforest pepper, I mean, look at all those flowers. I mean, that's just coated in flowers, and it's really producing, you know, good peppers. This one is now almost perfectly ripe, and it's got some others that are starting to ripen, and it's got a whole bunch in the back, and then obviously all these flowers. So if I can keep it watered in the 105, 106 degree temps, then we'll be good. And you know, you can look at the ground down there and you see all those, looks like rice laying on the ground. Well, that is from the tassels of the corn stalks. And so I think that, you know, hopefully we're getting pretty good pollination, and hopefully we'll get some full corn heads, ears, cobs. The amaranth has opened up since the last time, so I don't think there were any seed heads the last time we did episode 3 just 7 days ago. And they just popped out about 3 days ago. So if you follow my Instagram, Frosty Sith, follow us at Instagram at Frosty Sith, then you would see literally like a one night, and I water at night and there was nothing, and then that next morning, like at 10 a.m., I noticed that boom, there were heads. So zucchini, we don't have this one trellised. I should probably trellis it. Trellising that summer squash was the first time we've trellised squash, and I really like it. I think it's a lot better. So let's see. We got flowers. Do we have any peppers? No, I don't see any yet. Okay. So again, constant trimming on the Prudence Purple and even the Super Sweet 100s a little bit. Brussels sprout update. I think they are bigger, but they're still tiny. Kale's doing fine, although I did pull off 4 harlequin bugs yesterday. So I want to stay on top of those guys. We recently did a pretty heavy prune on these volunteer cantaloupes because they really grow prolifically, and they had come out, you know, all over, you know, feet wider. You couldn't really walk around here. So yesterday did a good job just going up around trimming there. And there's actually a lot of cantaloupes buried in there that you can't see, or at least a few nice ones. But that's enough for us because we've got a whole trellis over here of cantaloupe. Let's see, I need to get the mulch down. This is some of the celery right here. And we've got these number 10 cans around them to try and protect the sides from the sun and keep them from, you know, blonde and keep them from getting bitter. But then there's also others. I don't know if you've noticed in the tomatoes. There's a whole row of them down here beside the tomatoes. This Brussels sprout is maybe doing a little better than that other one. And but still, I mean, this is the best we've ever done. I need to come out and spray these again with BT or spinosad bacteria to kill those guys. Looks like I need to harvest that tomato today, and I'll probably be saving seed from that one for sure. Like I said, the Buena Mulatas are all doing good. I did start to get peppers on this one. So there's a number of peppers on here, at least 4 or 5 last night that I saw. This is a hot pepper. I want to say it's lemon starburst. I think that's a Ken Star lemon starburst. This is a 7-pot, a yellow 7-pot Primo, and it's definitely getting some peppers on it, and it's potted. This is the first time we've grown peppers in pots for the full season, and it's just a little tough keeping them watered properly when it's this hot. So I still need to water. I'm watering some with the soaker hose, but I need to come by and water all these pots again this morning. The Tabasco is doing well. It's putting on lots of fruit and doing good. All right, well, let's swing around. We looked at the amaranth, and I just think that, if nothing else, that adds a nice ornamental effect to the garden. Then over here's the okra. We've been harvesting okra daily out of here now. Looks like we've got a couple back there to go get. And we've got some basil growing back in there. And I've started to just do another compost pile back in the back against the wall to top of some of those weeds, control some of the weeds. So, all right, let's move over. And you might notice the grass is, you know, not mowed. And that's because it's 105, 106 in the afternoon, and I really just don't want to stress out the grass. It can wait. Volunteer sunflower fixing to open. Pretty. There's this one single amaranth by itself, and it hasn't put on a seed head yet, but it might be getting ready to. Now, the blueberries, you know, when we planted them, they got stressed. They got a little bit of sunburn on some of the leaves, but The nice thing is they've all got new green growth on them. I mean, every plant has some new growth on it. So I definitely think they're going to make it. This is our hodgepodge bed, and then I see this crabgrass, and I just got to get it because that's what you do when you're walking around and you see that. I need to come and dig out that dandelion there. Let me not forget my eggs that I need to get rid of. So this is our hodgepodge bed, and you can tell the watermelon is starting to take off. The peanuts are doing, at least this one plant. This was the first peanut to germinate. That was the second one. And they're doing okay. The ginger is doing all right, although you can tell from these two plants back here that they've got some sun scald on the leaves. It's just been super hot, and things are going to get stressed, and don't let that freak you out. I planted something over here. I don't remember. I think it's a flower or something. I don't know. But I did quite a bit of succession planting in the heat and just came out and put seeds in different spots. These cantaloupes are looking better. I'm not sure they're ever going to get big enough to make cantaloupe, but we do have cantaloupes down here along the fence that are starting to make cantaloupe. I got to be careful not to walk on these new sunflowers because I planted an extra row of sunflowers and they're spread out through here reaching for some light above those peppers. But yeah, so you know, there's one over there, and these were really just all volunteer, and I didn't assume they would make any you know, that they would really even last. I just figured they would die and not work very well. But this, I think, is the patty pan squash. I planted 2 patty pan squash seeds about, I don't know, 7 to 10 days ago. This is the pink jazz tomato seedling, and it's doing all right. I'm not sure if it's going to make it to production, but we'll see. I've also got 2 carbon clones, and I need to come over here and plant one. I'm going to plant it, I think, right back here, and then do both of them up the side of this trellis. And if I have to cut back some of this cantaloupe vine to make room for the 2 late season tomato plants, that's just what I'll do, because I mean, we don't need tons of cantaloupe, and we got plenty coming on, and it's still growing like mad. I did a hard prune on it yesterday in the heat, just to clean it up because it was getting not enough airflow, and you can see we got some good cantaloupes coming there because these are nice size cantaloupes. So, and they're going to get bigger yet. So that's enough for us. These peppers, looks like I'm starting to get some more fruit. So I think last week we discovered this one fruit. And you know, I think I touched this for the camera. I think this is a Scotch bonnet. I forget which type. I think it's a red one, and I think it's Foodorama Scotch bonnet. And I had cradled it in my hand and held it, but didn't do anything else with it. You can see I've got some more little fruits coming on here. Here it looks like. So hopefully it'll start, and got plenty of flowers there. So hopefully it'll start making more peppers. But just from touching that pepper, later in the evening, I was showering up when I came out of the garden and washing my face and my hair, and my whole head wasn't on fire, but I could tell that I had gotten into some peppers. So just be careful with the hot peppers. And so I need to throw this back up on the trellis that must have come off last night. And it seems like some of these side shoots on this cantaloupe, because I'm not a cantaloupe connoisseur, but it seems like some of them will put out runners that just have male flowers on them. And, you know, sometimes if they're really in the way, I'll just cut those off. But most of the time, I just push them back up into the trellis and let them go, because I'm assuming the male flowers are going to help pollinate. So see, like here's two smaller fruits, and so having the extra vine of male flowers around, hopefully that just helps with pollination. So that's what we've been doing there. I don't think these, yeah, this one beside it is just starting to flower, but I don't think either of these have peppers on them yet. And I think these three plants are Kinstar, Starburst peppers, and it looks like there may be the beginning of some fruits on here. In a number of places, we got some, and we may be starting to flower over there. So maybe next week, hopefully, we'll be able to see some growth there in these peppers, because I'm really excited for these. Taste these. And then these are doing fine. I just started giving them more water, and they really perk back up and are going. The first half here is orange spice jalapenos, and the second half is Zapotec jalapenos, and they're putting on a lot of them right now. The sunflowers are really just doing excellent. I need to cut some and make some arrangements for the wife. So they're just nice. And then there's the chocolate cherries. They just look great. And the zinnias just never fail to impress. We've got some really cool looking ones this year. We're gonna have to save seed from like this one, this one, this one. There's just a bunch of cool ones, and add to our mix. This one's okay, but the way I planted it, it's just kind of like a solid patch of color in the mix, and it just doesn't really flow well with my design, you know, the way the garden's laid out. Not a lot of action. You know, I planted some seeds here over a week ago, and here there may be some sprouting, or these may be weeds. I can't tell yet. Like, what's this? And I can't tell at the moment, you know, what that is. So we're going to leave them for a while. If they are weeds, we'll pull them later. But just not a tremendous amount of action from those seeds. But again, look at the zinnias. Oh, and then all the sunflowers. And the sunflowers have just really been impressive. And this, for some reason, these chocolate cherries planted on this side are almost variegated with yellow. So you're looking at the back of a sunflower there. Here's the front. Here's probably a better view. And they've got this yellow and brown and dark center on them. They're just pretty. There's a bee. Some kind of native type bee, not a honey bee. That's pretty cool. I'm not a bee connoisseur either, so I can't tell you, is that a leaf cutter? Is that, you know, what that is? But some kind of bee. But anyway, these need to be cut, and they're on, most of them are on these stems, this chocolate cherry series, and they're about 1 foot long to where they hit the main branch. And so most of them would make great vase flowers. Again, trying to keep this wet because we did plant a bunch of seeds here. The fountain, the sun's just not up enough yet for the fountain to run, because solar panel need to come out and harvest some oregano again. The zinnias and stuff that we planted back here, so you see those seedlings are quite a bit bigger than they were last week. I mean, they're probably double the size. I need to jump in there and get that crabgrass right there, but I'll do that later. So just staying on, picking a few weeds, you know, as you go around, that really makes staying on top of the weeds easy. And then, I don't know if that's a Cosmo or that's borage. I don't know yet what that is, but I planted a couple of things. I don't think that's Cosmo. I think it's probably borage. We also introduced some new stuff to the garden yesterday. And I don't think the birds have found it yet. And I spilled the bird seed here. And this is a cardinal mix, which is why it's heavy on the black oil sunflower seeds. But hopefully they'll find that soon. Bee balm is dying back. Or not dying back, but the flowers are dying back. I probably should deadhead those, but I'm not gonna. I'm gonna just let them go. So we added this bird feeder here with the cardinal mix in it. We do have a lot of cardinals that live here. And we got wild bird mix in this one. And I even got a container to put bird seed in. So yay for me. Everything over here is, you know, this part of the pollinator garden is literally wild over there. It's doing fine and it's pretty enough, but I just haven't had time to, you know, stay on top of it and do a thorough weeding. Some of the seedlings that we popped up are starting to come up, and I'm not sure if this is something I planted or it's seed that's just come up on its own, volunteered. But a lot of the other seeds, if you see down here, there's seedling here, seedling here, seedlings here, seedling here. These I did plant, and I probably need to prune the base of these grapevines a little bit. They are starting to come up all over, as you see there. And those are definitely Cosmos right here. So they're coming up. Haven't seen any of the violas along here, seeds that we put down, come up yet. The butterfly bush, we've only seen one monarch, and it was a week or two ago. Haven't really seen, although there maybe look like there's some feeding been going on back there on that branch, but haven't seen a lot of monarchs. But we got some. Gotta pull those weeds. I need to come back here and spend a few minutes doing that. The echinacea's looking good. It's starting to pale out, get pale and stuff, but it still looks great. The grapevine, I've pruned it a couple of times, and I also found the grapevine beetle, and the cardinals have been coming down, and they'll come down and light on something and then immediately attack a leaf. And what they're doing is they're eating the grapevine beetles, and you can see, like, this here is the shell off of one of them, or half of the shell off of one. And there are a number of those pieces around. There's a piece of a beetle. There's a couple of pieces right there, right there. So the cardinals are doing a good job protecting the grapevine. But I need to come and get a lot of these suckers and stuff off the side. And it's not perfectly clear to me how to prune grapes yet. But I'm going to do it my way. And so I'm trying to get a main vine up and all the way across. And we still need to redo the top of the pergola. But we're getting enough vine growth. And then I'm just going to be clipping off the suckers for this year. And once the vine gets all the way across, it's got about another foot to go, maybe 2 feet. Then we're going to tip the end of it so that it stops there. And we're just going to train vines across. We're also going to train vines across from this vine here and do the same thing with it. And then next year, and you can see there's quite a bit more damage over here. And so I probably need to, see these leaves are all eaten. So I probably need to come in, trim up those lower leaves, and then maybe clear out some of the stuff around it. I also need to trim off these flowers from the valerian. And you can see the valerian's gotten some sun scald and a lot of pressure from the heat. But I don't want, you know, in this case, thousands, because I've already cut off the flowers once in one round, and then it reflowered. And I just don't want thousands of valerian plants in my garden. Ideally, we would come weed this. So you see there's a lot of crabgrass, ton of crabgrass back in that patch. But we just got so much going on with harvesting vegetables that and canning things that we haven't gotten to that yet. So, all right, well, let's head back this way. And I guess I just noticed, maybe I didn't just notice, maybe I noticed this a couple days ago, but there's a weed here in the butterfly bush that needs to come out before it gets to seed. And it's flowering, so glad we got that. I probably need to come back and pull that bachelor button too. Okay, so this, I don't remember, no, this I planted a week ago tomorrow, and I replaced a pomegranate that was sitting here. And this is a cherry tree. It is Benton's Sweet Cherry Dwarf. And it's been here for 6 days now, and it's made it through the heat. And it's looking okay, all things considering. So I guess one of the things we didn't look at was the Chicago Hardy. And it's looking great. I mean, honestly, so super. I'm really a fan of this fig for zone 6A-ish. Here where we're at. And so we'll see. Hopefully we'll get some figs later. It looks like it may be putting on some figlet buds down there in the on the stem. We'll see. All right, let's move over and take a look. So I don't think we looked at these yet, but these are starting, habaneras are starting to produce peppers, and they got tons of flowers on them. So keeping these watered is, they like that. We've used up some of the onions since last time, and I'm sure we'll be using more. Again, I don't think we have any ripe buena mulatas, but because they'll turn red when they get ripe, but they're getting there. And that's interesting. That looks like a white pequeño, or I'm probably pronouncing it wrong, but I didn't know that I planted one right there. I thought that was a buena mulata. So, but it's obviously not. So see those little white peppers? But great. That's why we grow different things. Again, this carbon is just sprawling out here, and we're going to let it. We do have a clone. We'll walk over in a minute. We'll look at some new plants. So I think this brings us back to where we started. So let's move over and take a look at some new things that we need to get in the ground. All right, so this is the Desert King fig. And you know, with transportation and being re-exposed to sunlight with these high temps, and I've been watering it daily. I've even fertilized it once, but it's having some shock for sure. These leaves, top leaves, are starting to yellow. That's not a good sign. And some of the basil leaves yellow. That's okay. It looks like I probably need to spray it with a diluted hydrogen peroxide maybe, because that almost looks like fungal and not just heat stress, but we'll see. Anyway, I need to find a spot for this, and I was gonna put this where the fig tree is, the brown turkey fig tree is, but I think I've changed my mind, and that's unfortunate because it means I gotta find a spot for this. So these are the two clones, and maybe I should do a video on these because I literally just took these cuttings from suckers off of the carbon tomatoes that we like so well. I took 2 of them just in case one died, but they've been in here for over 2 weeks now, and they're doing really well, and they're actually starting to put on new growth. See right here? And both of them, I think. In fact, it looks like flowers, and we're just gonna pinch those flowers off because it's just a little cutting, and hopefully I didn't just break that. I think I did, but it's got more growth down in there, so one way or the other it looks like it's rooted, and I need to get these in the ground this weekend. And then I have these 2 plants, and these are Apache thornless blackberries, and I just got to get them in the ground. So here, I can move over and show you. I think I know where these are going to go, or roughly where these are going to go. Anyway, maybe we'll do that next time. Maybe I'll get them in the ground and I'll show you where they're at. But these are definitely doing okay. They've been here for about a week, and once I started watering them, you know, every other day, they've grown. All this above my thumb is new growth, and so that's 7 inches. So that one's doing good. This one is not quite as vigorous as that, but it's grown. It's got new growth from the end of my thumb, 2.5, 3 inches. And it probably needs water again because it's got some heat stress on these leaves down here, and looks like those are suckers. Those may just need to come off. Maybe we can propagate those, but they're probably going to die, the little suckers. All right, well, we'll take a last quick look at the North Georgia Candy Roaster, and then we'll call it quits for the day. For the video, anyway. Got a lot of work to do. All right, so the winter squash is doing good. We have pruned it pretty considerably over here. I think this had grown out to here, which is a gate. And all around here it had grown out that much. And we just kind of cut it back pretty hard to the edge of the grass. And that's okay. And did we lose some fruit? Yeah, maybe. But the fact is, I think these plants are so vigorous that they can't grow all the fruit they want anyway. And I have been taking out leaves. I need to come in here, and you see some of those leaves that look a little pathetic under the canopy. Those really aren't useful. They're not getting light. They're starting to brown. They're probably getting some squash bug pressure. I have found some squash bugs in here, and there's just no way to manage these like the potted squash. So, you know, and they just need probably a lot of water because they wilt really, really hard shortly. So once it gets over 99, the leaves literally collapse completely. And I mean, you would think they were completely dead. The butternut squash are doing fine. And so that's really it for the tour today. Looks like I got a couple more things to trim up here, prune this runner back, but that's the tour. There's our ground cherries and their little husk. So I hope that was helpful. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, if you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit the subscribe button and make sure to click the bell so that you get notifications every time that we add new content here on the Frosty Sith channel. As I mentioned earlier, we do stay up on Instagram, so if you want a little extra content, you might follow us on Instagram and get a little extra content there. So there it looks like a good size. Can you see it? There it is. Got a leaf in the way. El Toro de Ecuador, I think is what this is. So follow us on Instagram, and remember, whenever you can, get up, get out, live a little. See ya.